title of my speech is Don Quixote and Sancho Panza Return to Spain. You won't find it in Cervantes, but the truth is that Don Quixote and Dulcinea got married and moved to Phoenix. Sancho Panza stopped off in Brooklyn. So the years went by and Don Quixote got old, and he was still as tall and as strong and as handsome as he ever was, but his mind began to wander a little bit, and he tended to make bad judgments. So one of the judgments he made was to join a travel club, and to use the travel club to visit a Spanish resort in Casa de Sol. So he made reservations for himself and Dulcinea to fly to New York, pick up Sancho Panza, fly to Madrid, take a train from Madrid to Malaga, another train from Casa de Sol, and then take a cab to the resort. Now Dulcinea had come down with asthma, and she needed an oxygen machine whenever she flew. And when you get an oxygen machine, you need some paperwork from a doctor. And you need to register it with the airlines. So Don Quixote made the reservation through his travel club, but he forgot to tell them about the oxygen machine. And he realized his mistake, so he called up the airline. The second mistake is probably he made the reservation through Iberian Airlines instead of one of the American airlines, which also flies to Spain. So he talked to the people at the Iberian Airlines. He went round and round, but he was assured that everything was okay, and they had the notation on the tickets and whatever. So you can see what happened. They flew to New York. They picked up Sancho Panza, and they went to the JFK, but Dulcinea was not allowed to board the plane because they didn't have the proper paperwork. And it turns out in Spain it's even more difficult to get the paperwork than it is in the US, because everything has to be studied by a committee of doctors or something. It takes weeks. So Don Quixote wanted to stay in New York, but Dulcinea insists that he and Sancho go on to Spain without her. Fortunately, she had some nice friends, the Adados, who lived in Brooklyn, and she was able to stay with them for the beginning of the trip. So the first thing that happened is they took all the bags off, and then they were told to put back the bags that belonged to Sancho and Don Quixote. So Sancho and Don Quixote flew to Spain. They flew to Madrid. When they got to the Madrid airport, there was a very long walk up many, many stairs from the airplane to the baggage area. So after about a half an hour, 45-minute walk, they get to the baggage area, and there's no baggage there for Don Quixote and Sancho Panza. When we go to talk to the people that are manning the baggage area, they gave us an email saying that unfortunately all the bags were unloaded in New York, and that Dulcinea had them with her, and she had to take the 3 bags and her oxygen machine to the Adados where she was staying. Also at this point, Don Quixote did not have any juice in his cell phone, so he was unable to call Dulcinea. Anyway, it's not so bad that it's so far from the airport, from the landing area to the baggage area, because right next to the baggage area is a train. So they got on the train, they went to Malaga. They got to Malaga Airport, and after a while, Don Quixote observed a young lady plugging her cell phone into a wall socket. So when he waited for her to use it, he knew to use that wall socket. Unfortunately, a friend of his told him he needed a converter in Spain, so he had a converter. So he got a message from Dulcinea saying everything was okay and she would join them in a few days. So they take the train to Malaga, and that was really the highlight of the trip for Don Quixote. the Spanish trains are just wonderful. They're beautiful, they leave on time, they're smooth, they're fast. It even has a speedometer, so you can tell how fast they're going.
I didn't quite get that.
They go over 100 miles per hour at certain points. And the countryside is just beautiful. So they stayed at the Casa del Sol for a week. They came back to Madrid. And once they got to Madrid, they spent the night and they went to the Prado. It's a famous museum in Spain. And Sancho Panza is quite an artist, and he knows quite a lot about art. So they had a good time in the Prado, both the first day they got there and the next day before they took the plane back. And Sancho Panza explained to Don Quixote what all the art was about, and had a lot of good observations. So that was a lot of fun for both of them. Then they flew back, and they were reunited with Dulcinea. The next morning, it was snowing like, well, it was snowing like heck in New York. And they decided they'd better leave now if they were going to get to the airport. They had a hard time getting to the airport, but they got there quite a bit early. They got on the plane. After we got on the plane, they were told that the plane would take off as soon as a pilot could get there. I was reminded of Don Quixote was reminded from the scene from Airline where the guy comes on and the plane is in the air and says, are there any passengers that know how to fly an airplane? But they didn't make that announcement. They waited for the regular pilot to show up, and they had these machines getting the snow off the wings and all of that. It's quite an exciting trip. It was quite a bit longer. Anyway, Don Quixote and Dulcinea did finally get back safely into Phoenix.